Janice Dean, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Grace, and thank you for being a voice as well for all of the families that deserve answers from this governor and his administration.
It's so despicable what's happened. You have been fighting this since the very beginning, and along the way, you've been mocked. We know you're the meteorologist for Fox News. You can find Janice at Janice Dean on Twitter. But you were really, really put through the ringer for standing up for this, but you didn't seem to ever get discouraged.
I did. I got discouraged, but, these guys are bullies. And if anything, it made me want to speak louder because what they were trying to do was silence me by making fun of my job, making fun of the fact that, we're part of a death cult, quote unquote, that are trying to find answers. So this is his administration, his spokespeople that have, gone after us on Twitter. And it's only made me want to do this louder.
Right. And Janice, I guess my question, I've known this for a long time, and obviously the mainstream media is just catching up on all of this now. They're so shocked about all of these stories about Andrew Cuomo. But my question for you, did you think it was going to be such a kind of bombshell in one drop? Like what happened yesterday with that audio, or not audio, but with the leak of DeRosa basically saying he started tweeting, meaning the president, that we killed everyone in nursing homes. And she was offering a mea culpa to the politicians for putting them in a tough political situation. Did you think we were going to get something this concrete?
Yeah, she was apologizing to the Democratic lawmakers for keeping them in the dark. Meanwhile, 15,000 families have been kept in the dark for almost a year now with regards to why there was a mandate in place in the first place. And the numbers. We all knew the numbers were undercounted. In terms of bombshell, I think the AG report a couple of weeks ago from Letitia James, a Democratic attorney general here in New York, who Governor Cuomo endorsed and appointed, she was the first to kind of make her own, conduct her own investigation into this governor and actually get results. There was a DOJ investigation. There were several lawsuits from media people and watchdogs that wanted these answers on behalf of the families. But the AG really took it upon herself and got some results. It's still in progress. But when I saw that and I saw this kind of door opening from a Democratic lawmaker that wants answers on behalf of families, that's when I started to realize that this might snowball. And then yesterday, seeing the fact that there was a Democratic lawmakers meeting closed door with Melissa DeRosa, who is one of the, highest spokespeople for the governor, basically, saying that they've been covering up the numbers for months now. It was a bombshell, but I was also very proud of the person that leaked the audio. There is audio, and I think eventually we're going to hear it.
And I was very impressed when I read some of the transcripts at how unapologetic some of these Democrat politicians were, because they really rebuffed her apology, and they didn't really take it. They said, we're not going to take this at face value. This does not seem legit at all. Were you surprised that people like, I think his name is Representative Kim and other people like that really, Assemblyman Ron Kim, really rebuffed that mea culpa from DeRosa?
Assemblyman Ron Kim is a hero. He actually called me yesterday to give me information on that meeting. He didn't tell me the scope of what went on, but he did tell me, there was an apology and they were afraid of the DOJ investigation. And he lost a relative. He lost an uncle in a nursing home. And he's been one of the only Democratic lawmakers that have come out to some of the rallies that I've been at. We both have each other's phone numbers. He does constantly check in with me when it comes to the nursing home issue. So he's above party lines. He really does want answers, and he's been very outspoken against the governor. And I think that because there are now more calls from Democratic lawmakers to rescind some of his powers and maybe have more of an independent bipartisan investigation, I think there's safety in numbers. And I think once they all kind of look at each other and say, okay, are we going to do this? Are we really going to go against the king now? I think there's going to be more results.
Yeah, and speaking of the powers that he has had, I didn't even realize this, but there was a piece that came out yesterday in the Federalist from David Marcus where he kind of went through all the executive orders that Cuomo has been doing, and it's not just bad for the nursing homes, but he's really killed New York as a state. And I thought it was interesting, to your point, Janice, that Bill de Blasio thinks it's time to rein Cuomo back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bill de Blasio actually within the last few weeks, even the last few months, has been outspoken about the vaccinations, how they've completely botched that. They've always been at odds. It's well documented that they don't like each other. But I feel that, de Blasio is saying, I got nothing to lose now. This is my last term, and I don't like this guy, and I'm going to call him out. And you know what? More power to him.
Right. No, I agree. I told people that you were coming on the show today, and I asked them, to let me know any questions they had for you. And the number one question I received were from people who wanted to know that, what do you hope happens with this? I know that you're, at this point, you've seen so much of the corruption, but if you could describe what you really would hope would come out of this, what would it be?
An independent, bipartisan investigation with subpoena power to put the governor, his administrators, his health department all up on the stand, nursing home workers, people who own nursing homes, who are the ears and eyes inside of nursing homes. We need to hear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if it comes up that this governor and his administration are corrupt and it's criminal, then they should go to jail.
I'm talking to Janice Dean from Fox News. She's been fighting against Andrew Cuomo. And Janice, I know that for so long, it must have been so frustrating for you to see all of the praise that the media was heaping on Andrew Cuomo. Do you take any solace in the fact that now they're kind of, changing their tune a little bit?
Well, we'll always have those pictures of Andrew Cuomo and his brother, Chris Cuomo, with a giant cotton ball, up his nose. The Cuomo Comedy Hour. I mean, so crazy. When body bags are being piled up outside of nursing homes, these guys are joking around like it's, Saturday Night Live. So, we're always going to have the internet and know that those people fawned over the governor and helped cover him up.
Right. And one thing that I notice a lot is that every time Andrew Cuomo comes out, and I think he's going to show any bit of humility. And one thing you wrote in a piece that you had for Fox News, you said, and I'm paraphrasing, but you basically said, we give people a lot of lenience in during times like this if they show a little bit of humility, but rather than sending condolence cards to people or apologizing, he was on a book tour and he was accepting Emmy Awards. And I think my last question for you, Janice, would be, do you think he realizes, and I know this is a little inside baseball, but do you think when he lays his head on the pillow at night, he knows that he did a terrible job?
That's a good question. I actually think he has some kind of psychological disorder. I am not a doctor, but I think he's one of those narcissistic personalities that thinks he really hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, if you look at some of the interviews, he says that he does sleep well at night because he did a good job. So I feel like he doesn't have any empathy. He's never shown empathy. He's never apologized on television. I really don't think he cares about the elderly or seniors. So the answer is, I just don't think he is capable of feeling that way.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it runs in the family because Chris Cuomo is the same exact way. I've been going back on some of these cuts of the two of them together, and it really is horrific when you realize what was happening while these comedy acts were going on. They thought that he was going to be the next president of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of people were feeding into that, too. I think they built him up. They built him up and thought he was going to be president. I think he thinks he's owed that because his father never made it to the presidency. So, I mean, if you go back and read a lot of articles, I think he's always kind of wanted to be like a Kennedy. He married a Kennedy. And, I think there is something to that he's always had this higher office in mind. And right now, I don't think he's ever going to get there.
I don't either. And that is one silver lining of this entire thing, is that I think his power trip is coming to an end. I remember when this first started out, I never understood the appeal, but I was reading stories about his leather bomber jacket and, who he's dating. And I was seeing all these TikToks about women saying they had crushes on Andrew Cuomo. And I have to say, as someone who never really bought into that, last night going through Twitter and seeing your tweets about sunlight is the best disinfectant and other people saying, finally a little comeuppance for the governor, I felt amazing. So I can't imagine how you felt.
I feel the tide is turning. I really do. And, I like to say that he's got the Cuomo name and he's got that power behind him, but we have the power of the angels behind us.
I love that. Janice Dean, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone should follow her at Janice Dean on Twitter and read all of her pieces at Fox News. Thank you so much. And congratulations. This is really, really in large part to all of your hard work.
Well, Grace, you've also been there with me, and you've also helped me spread the word and my family's message. So I thank you and your listeners as well.
Thank you, Janice. That was Janice Dean, everybody. She is the absolute best. And how fitting that yesterday was supposed to be her in-laws' 60th anniversary, and that news drops. I just feel that no one deserves this good news more than Janice Dean and all of those people who were so mistreated by Governor Cuomo. Guys, who says there is no such thing as a free lunch? I have 3 VIPs right now in studio, and they can tell you that that is not true. They are enjoying a free lunch from a Viva Trattoria, and it is the best lunch ever. Jared,
calamari was a nice surprise today.
The calamari, the arancini balls, the pizza. And you know what's becoming my real favorite, which is so simple, but it surprised me? The chips.
Great homemade chips.
Homemade chips. You don't think you need it in your life? You do. Guys, if you want to enter the contest, go to gracecurleyshow.com and sign up. I'll be selecting winners every other Friday. When Anthony and Marcy come in every other Friday, they bring us so much stuff. It's so delicious. Everyone's wowed. And if you want to check them out, they have 4 convenient locations in Marlborough, Maynard, Rentham, and Westford. And I have to let you guys know, because I was talking to Marcy today, and she was telling me about their Valentine's Day dinner for 2. And I had to clarify with her several times because I just couldn't believe the price. It's a 4-course dinner, and it's $55.95 per couple, which to me is just outrageously inexpensive. Like, that is the best deal I've ever heard. You get a starter where you get a salad or a soup. You get an appetizer, which you could get the arancini, which I love, or the calamari, or the cheesy bread. You get an entree, which could be salmon, risotto, steak, short rib, chicken piccata, and then you get a dessert. And something else that I didn't know is that they're doing takeout, and you can take the cocktails. They kind of create a little cocktail box for you, and you can take that to go. So if you're someone who doesn't want to go to a restaurant, that's a great option. But if you eat in, you receive 55 bonus loyalty points. I mean, they're just the best. And this Valentine's Day menu, I cannot believe this incredible deal. Make sure you check them out, guys. Make sure you sign up for the contest, gracecurleyshow.com. Enter your email. That's gracecurleyshow.com. We'll be right back with all of your calls, 844-500-4242. This is The Grace Curley Show.
You're listening to The Grace Curley Show.